It's fantastic that Corwin is publishing Deliverology 101. I think it's going to be a great success. I'm very excited about it. The book is a book about how to do things rather than what to do, but I'll come to that in a minute. If you look at the state of public education in the United States at the moment, what you see is a system struggling to keep up with the best systems in the world. There are many problems. The overall performance of the system is uneven. There are huge gaps in achievement between Latino, Black and white students. There are huge gaps between students on low incomes and others. And unless America fixes those challenges, it's going to struggle economically and in many other ways, socially, for example, in the next few decades. The advantage it had educationally in the 20th century is eroding fast, and it needs to turn that round. Now, one of the great things about 2010 in the United States is there are a set of people around the country doing fantastic things to reform the system, led from the federal government, led by many states, led by many non-profits, led by foundations such as Gates and others. There is a huge momentum towards change. Things such as the Race to the Top program coming from government, the introduction by the states of common standards and common assessments, all of these provide a huge opportunity to fix those long-standing problems in United States education. And when you talk to people, whether you talk to people in the federal government, the states or the districts or indeed the schools, they say it's not the policy agenda they have problems with. The policy agenda is fantastic. The real challenge, the biggest barrier they have to getting that done, to transforming children's life chances, is the capacity of the system to implement that wave of change. Or as we would have put it in the Blair administration when I was working for Tony Blair, have they got the capacity to deliver the aspirations they've set for themselves? And it's that Deliverology 101 seeks to address. And the book is in 5 sections. You've probably seen it. There are 15 modules in those 5 sections. Module 1A is setting your aspiration, so deciding what you want to do. It then takes you through a set of organisational and process changes, and the final modules are to do with creating a permanent culture of delivery so that you don't just deliver once, you can keep doing it into the future. And what the book sets out in the opening section, the preface, is that if you faithfully follow through the 15 steps in the book and systematically implement using that process, then the aspiration you set will indeed be delivered. And having talked to state leaders and district leaders and indeed principals across the United States, the demand for a book that's on the how question rather than the what is absolutely huge. And the great thing about this is it's not just a theory, it's not something we worked out in ivory towers, it's tried and tested. The 15 modules are based on my personal experience of founding the Prime Minister's Delivery Unit for Tony Blair, of managing it and leading it for 4 years. We had tremendous success in implementing Blair's reforms. We made real progress on nearly all the indicators we were tasked to try and shift, including crime, as well as health, education and transport. So that's one body of experience. And then since then, a number of countries around the world have taken that experience and adapted it and refined it and strengthened it, and again used it with great success on 5 continents, in fact. More recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen real progress with US states adopting this methodology and seeing the benefits it brings. Probably the first place to take it on was New York City, where Joel Klein is a great enthusiast for this approach. The Mayor of Los Angeles adopted it and used it successfully during his first term. And recently, about 9 public higher education institutions, including the California State University, have taken this methodology and seen it as a way of improving graduation rates and narrowing achievement gaps. So what we have here is a tried and tested methodology, and the book summarises that very briefly as a field guide, a kind of manual that you can use. It's not necessarily a book you can read cover to cover, although that's perfectly possible. It's a book that you will start at the beginning and work your way through as though you were following the instructions for some major piece of equipment. And I think when people have read the book, they will use it to train teams within their organisation. They will use it to make great progress in terms of developing a language of implementation. There's a big challenge facing United States education. The policy agenda is becoming clear and is very ambitious. People around the system want it to work. What they now need to do is learn how to make it work, and this book is absolutely at the heart of that. The other thing I'd say is, although the book is specifically tailored for leaders of the US public education system, whether it's higher education or K-12, actually 90+% of its content would be directly applicable to people in Canada, to people in Europe, to people in Australia, or indeed around the world. And probably 80+% of its content will be relevant to people who were in public systems that weren't education. So I think the potential of the book is really significant, but the most important thing will be to promote it urgently and rapidly across the United States, because right across the public education system there are people who know what they want to do. They have support at a political level across the spectrum for doing that. What they don't know is how to do it. This book will enable them to develop a methodology that will ensure that the aspirations they have and that everybody in America has for its future could be realised.